All right, let's talk about Tua and the Dolphins. I really feel like Tua is not getting enough credit for what he's doing this season. And I'm someone who I feel like has been fair with Tua over the years. I'm not a Tua stan. I am not a Tua hater, despite what certain Tua fans might think. I feel like I tend to be pretty neutral on him, but he's having an incredible year, and I think he deserves credit for it. And instead, everyone's giving it to Tyreek Hill. And listen, I get it. Tyreek Hill is awesome. But let's talk about Tua and what he's doing so well and why he really is the driving force that makes this Dolphins offense work. We're going to start off with this play. It's going to be zone coverage, and you see how the concept can work, right? You have Tyreek Hill running a deep route. Hopefully, that'll push the defenders further deep. You then have another receiver running a route more over the middle. That's the one that Tua is going to look towards. Okay, sure, makes sense. Well, let's see how it works. Right off the bat, Tua is going to take the snap. He looks over, and is it open? I mean, you could make this throw if you want to. It would be a bit risky and probably not going to get many yards. And Tua, I think, kind of understands the situation. He understands, hey, he knows the receivers Miami has, and he knows the corners that Washington has. So let's see if there's something else more open, especially when you do have time to move here. As you see, Tua, instead of making that throw, is going to scramble out and eventually fires downfield and finds a wide open Jalen Waddle. And this is one of those things where it's like, okay, if you're just watching the game, on first glance, you might look at this and say, well, like, yeah, he's throwing to a wide open receiver. This is another thing in the argument of, well, Tua mostly just hits open receivers. And listen, I'm not saying there's no truth to that. Miami's receivers get open a lot, right? So that is going to help out Tua, of course. However, there's often little things that go into getting to the wide open receiver and throwing the ball towards the wide open receiver, and that's what Tua did on this play. Now, this one was dropped by Jalen Waddle and looked like he tried to just run away right after he dropped it, wanted to get off the field. No, it was first down, Jalen. You got to stay on the field there. But it was just a, unfortunate drop. Drops happen. It is what it is. But, I think that's an important play in kind of showing the, what Tua brings to the table and what he can do. In fact, going over here, there was another play that could have been a big completion. I mean, you think about the statistical day that Tua had. He ended the day with 280 yards in just 24 attempts, so well over, 10 yards per attempt, and could have had maybe an extra, 70 to 100 yards if these two plays hit, where what's going to happen here, zone coverage, Jalen Waddle running a go route, two safeties deep, so you're not expecting it to get open, but you're hoping it might be able to. Okay, well, let's see how it works. Tua is going to take the snap, he runs play action, and he is going to fire down the field, and we see it's not wide open. In fact, this is one of those dangerous throws. You could argue this is a bad decision by Tua, but one of the things I talk about a good amount on this channel is how making accurate throws makes you a better decision maker, right? If you can put the ball in the right spot, well, then all of a sudden, instead of, hey, why'd you throw it in the double coverage, it's, hey, great throw. And as you see, to me, this was really a good throw. Waddle had a chance on it. I wouldn't call this a drop. I would say he wasn't able to make the tough play. But, Tua put it in position where Waddle could have potentially made that grab, and that would have gone for a bunch of yards on that play. Over 50 yards probably is what we're talking. I would say right around 50 yards. So definitely there was some yards left on the table, quite frankly, despite the statistical day. So if we're going to talk about Tyreek Hill getting wide open, we should also talk about these plays and when it goes the other way. Heading over here, and third down and 12, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Tua is in a bad situation in Miami. Of course, it's a great situation. I talked about that in a previous video, how, when people say, well, Tua's stats are inflated, that's pretty much always going to be the case. He's in a good situation. So if he plays great, well, the stats are going to be even better because he has talent around him. That's what happened in this game, right? I mean, he made a couple deep throws to Tyreek Hill, got the stats bumped up, good throws, but also great routes by Tyreek Hill. So that is going to, inflate the numbers a little bit, but it doesn't mean he's not also playing great. Both can be true. You can have inflated numbers and be playing great football, which is the case with Tua. So this play, on paper, pretty simple stuff. Just hit Jalen Waddle over the middle, and spoiler alert, he is going to get open on this play because he's Jalen Waddle. He gets open a lot. But look at that interior defensive lineman. I think that's going to be an important guy to watch right here. As you see, he is going to be able to get through, and for Tua, he's in trouble. I mean, there's no denying it. He's in trouble, and I think a lesser quarterback could have some real issues here. However, Tua is able to navigate the pocket well, is able to make the throw and hit Jalen Waddle. Again, it's a little thing. Yes, Jalen Waddle was wide open on that play, but sometimes the little things are what gives you time to hit the open receiver. Sometimes, for other quarterbacks, they aren't able to hit the open receiver because they aren't able to get the extra time to do so. The fact that receivers always seem to be open for Tua is certainly a compliment to the Dolphins' offense and their supporting cast, but it's also a compliment to Tua, right? He's doing things to make sure he gets the ball to the open receiver. And also just little stuff like this, which is still so important, where it's going to be a zone coverage play, and you have, two receivers, it's Tua and Tyreek Hill running deep routes. So, okay, that's going to get some extra attention. You also have a halfback running underneath. So, typically you want to look towards Tyreek Hill and Waddle, and that's where Tua is going to look. Watch, as you see, Tua takes the snap. It wasn't really a play action, but it kind of served the same effect where, he didn't fake a handoff, but the running back ran in that direction anyway, just that was his route. So, interesting stuff there. But Tua, you see, I paused it here. He's looking down the field. That's where he wants to throw the football, ideally, I believe. It's possible he was never planning on throwing it there and just using his eyes to get players out of position, because he does do that very well. But I think his legitimate first read was throwing down the field. But one of the things we talk about with Tua is how quickly he processes the game. This was his biggest strength at Alabama, and it's his biggest strength in the NFL. As you see, he then gets the ball to his next option, Devin Achane. Nice to see him back in the game. Makes a nice move there, too, to pick up more yards. But again, sure, you can sit here and say, well, Achane made a nice move there. Tua also did a good job, though, of getting it to the player who was able to then make a nice move. So, listen, again, no one's going to argue that Tua doesn't have it easy, right? We all agree, good situation, a lot of talent around Tua, but okay, so what? I kind of feel like sometimes people act like you can't evaluate a quarterback if they're in a great situation or a terrible situation. No, you can still evaluate a quarterback by watching the film, even if you understand the situation. Now, I would say every now and then you get a situation that's so bad that a quarterback doesn't, there's nothing they can do, and kind of it just makes it more difficult to evaluate that quarterback and know what they're doing. That does happen, but I would still say you can evaluate the quarterback in that situation, because it's not like you're going to be bad in every situation on every snap. And I would say with Tua, it's not like things are going well on literally every single snap. It's the NFL. Yes, you played the Commanders. Yes, there were a lot of snaps in this one where things went well, but not all of them. And on the ones where things didn't go well, he still found a way to make something good happen. So at the end of the day, I don't really know what more you want him to do. He's had some turnovers. I think that's the one thing you'd like to cut down, but in this game, there were none. So, great stuff by Tua. Great stuff by, Tyreek Hill and by Jalen Waddle. And listen, I made a Tyreek Hill video, right? He's great. He's amazing. But Tua deserves his flowers as well, so I figured I'd make a video giving him his credit. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on all of this. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.